Blake. I live here in Otsego County. The reason I'm up here is just to give you kind of a brief introduction about why we're here and what WELC is about. For some of you, it's the first time you've heard of it. Others of you who've been falling off the wall kind of know who we are. This conversation started probably more than a year ago. When I got involved in the natural gas discussions, I did a lot of town halls, more than I care to remember. I did a lot of public presentations, more than I care to remember, and it was always very lonely. Some of you know what I mean. It's a very lonely place to be. But I realized in a lot of my conversations were with women. And women were making things happen. You know, they're the ones that were making the phone calls so that everybody could show up at the town hall. They're the ones that were writing the newsletters and everything else. Except Mr. Downey, OSD, who writes kids. But, yeah, we've tried to put him in a skirt before, right? And in one meeting, I was with Caroline over there, and I started to think, you know, all these people that we have met and we have talked to, there's a lot of energy, and there's a lot of positive energy. What would happen if we got all of us together and started building this momentum? And kind of change the conversation, okay? And before I get too started or too involved, I just wanted to get up here and make a few remarks. And that is kind of where I started, okay? I don't know, how to focus it. I know women, they get a lot done except certain things, so. Again, you see, it's not only the women, it's also the men and supporters that are here, okay? So that's a big part of who we are. This is something I noticed. There's three parts to the natural gas industry. The first one is the upstream, midstream, and downstream. What we have been focusing on has been the upstream. This is all the problems that are going on in people's towns that we're fighting back and forth, has to do with the drilling. A little bit on the midstream coming up to the surface now. When you have people talking about pipelines, they don't want the pipelines, and all the fear about the pipelines. And if we keep silent, it's going to spread down to the downstream. And all these three are connected. When I was in Albany, I told the story of one of our friends, Catherine. Catherine lives on a fixed income. She makes probably $500 a month because she didn't have a great job. And she lives in a little trailer. And right now she does her heating and her cooking with propane. She pays $300 a month on her propane for the year. So I went onto the Department of Energy website and I looked and I saw that the average heating bill of a family in the Northeast is probably about $2,600 for the year. And then I thought, what about people that heat their homes with natural gas? What are they paying? With, you know, the rate that they were doing back then, I think it's $4 or $5 an MCF. And the average bill, $600. So I asked Catherine and I said, Catherine, what if you could heat your trailer for $600? Would you do it? What do you think her answer was? Of course she would. And then I had another conversation with another friend of mine who is stuck over there in the upstream about the water and everything else. And he started telling me about global warming and the big bad corporations and everything else that they throw back at us. And I told him, I said, just go over there and tell that to Catherine. You explain to her why she's paying $3,000 a year versus $600, and you explain it to her and hear what she says. He couldn't do it. And so that's why I wanted to start this conversation. We need to move away from the upstream discussion because there is more to this story than just poking holes in the ground, okay? There's how the gas gets where it's going. There's also how it's stored, the pipelines, the pipeline companies. There's also the downstream, who Marie and I call the end users. And that's you and me, okay? You and me. So I don't have a lot of acreage. So I don't have a horse in that race. But I heat my house with heating oil. And I'd much rather see everybody heating their house with a cleaner burning fuel. It's just practical. And so WELC was designed to kind of change the conversation about energy development as a precursor to economic development, so that we can talk about things that are tangible to us and actually put them in action. I am tired of going for meetings. I've gone for so many meetings. I don't want meetings anymore. I want to be doing something positive. And so our first meeting that we had was 40, because there's 40 of us down there. It was about 40 women, and everybody got up and shared their story. And there were a lot of commonalities that came out of it. And what came out of that meeting was this film that we're about to show you. It's called Silent No More. I was quiet for a while, and I made my rounds, and I was beat down into the ground, and I'm done. I'm not going to be quiet anymore. So Marie's going to come up and say something, right?
I'm a recluseness with Lachlan. I'm Winnie's partner. And I guess I've met extraordinary people in my journey these past 4 years. Not realizing it, we have a whole new group of friends, a whole new group of allies, a whole group of people that we never knew before. And this film is created and done by Aaron Price and Carolyn. And it's very touching. To me, it really is. But right now, what I'd like to just give you a brief bio. The women who are here are almost all here. There's only one person missing. And so let me just give you a quick bio on each one. And then after this is over, these ladies will come and they will talk. But let me tell you, this is not the end. There is more, and there are more stories to be told. And we've just begun talking about who we are and what we are, and all about us. We have tremendous depth. We have people who are so worthwhile and worth listening to and worth learning about our stories. So Chris Lacey, where are you, dear heart? Right here. Chris Lacey is right here. She's over here. I'm sorry that the display didn't travel well. Let's just put it that way. Chris Lacey. There she is. Okay. Basically, Chris Lacey is a hockey mom, of course, which I certainly identify with. And she knows the pain of seeing her children and grandchildren leave New York due to the lack of opportunity. Her daughter, an electrical engineer, moved back to the area from the West Coast and looked for a job for 6 months. Finding nothing, Chris's daughter and grandchildren had to leave. Chris remembers how Binghamton was a thriving area 35 years ago when she moved here from the Midwest. Now the Midwestern energy states are thriving from shale gas development, and Chris wonders why New York doesn't want a piece of that. So Chris fights for gas development in her area and knows it can be done safely and wants her family back. Chris Lacey is from the town of Shenango. Hazel Brandt. Now, I'm going to leave you the last, Hazel, because I just adore you. You're so incredible. You're just so incredible. Marion Sazanko, did I say that right, Marion? How are you? No, what did I say? Shurenko. Oh, sorry. Marion's right here. Down at the bottom. Marion's from Windsor. She's a small business owner, and she's great. Wait till you see this film. She's so dynamic. And she's owned and operated Marion's Pizza Shack in the town of Windsor for over 20 years. She recalls the days when nearby Binghamton was thriving and the people in her community had jobs, and the main street in Windsor had many stores. She remembers the great manufacturers Endicott Johnson and IBM, where tens of thousands had good paying jobs. And she's seen the exodus of those industries and the lack of a future for the area. She's also done her homework and is a strong believer that natural gas development can happen safely with proper regulation, and would love to see more business for her business and families to have a future in Windsor once again. Marion says, I choose to prosper, and sees natural gas as a way to prosperity for many. Eva Grafa Kiklak? Ega. Inga has worked to fight for the mineral rights of landowners and gas development in Sullivan and Delaware counties, and she left Germany for America years ago and understands the pain of war and the loss of freedom. She and her husband love nature and are avid conservationists. She's learned how natural gas development can help to save open spaces by saving family farms. She says that one should never stop fighting for one's rights. And Inga, I've heard Inga at the gas councils that we had down in Binghamton, and she's a tough lady. Now, Uni Blake, my special friend and my partner, and my brilliant partner, okay? Uni Blake, as you know, we all know Uni, anyway, is an environmental toxicologist. And Uni Blake grew up in Kenya and saw the results of lax environmental regulation of paper plants, which emitted a great deal of pollution. It inspired her to follow the career path she chose. However, she also saw that the plant employed 4,000 people and that a balance was needed, and all such activities require a science-based risk-benefit analysis. As the mother of 5 children who live over the shale, she wanted to learn everything she could about natural gas drilling and what it would mean to her in her rural community. She came away convinced that it can be done safely and that community dialogue is needed to work through the concerns of residents so jobs can happen and her children can have a future in New York. Okay, Hazel. All right. Hazel Brandt. She's the first female police officer in Broome County, and she looks like she bakes cookies all the time. She also served as the Windsor tax collector, a school bus driver. Can you imagine that? Mother and grandmother, and a widow of Bob Brandt, who she loved dearly and was married to for 57 years. Hazel has lived in Windsor for most of her life. She and her late husband Bob were very involved in their community. Hilda and Bob fought for natural gas development for years. Bob died in January 2012 of pancreatic cancer. 11, excuse me. He was with the operating engineers for 47 years and helped to build many public works projects, which benefited New York City, like the Cannonsville Dam. His engineering background and common sense convinced him that gas drilling could be done safely. He died waiting for the moratorium to be lifted. Bob served in World War II and in the Korean War. Hazel continues her service to her community and will fight for gas development and the benefits it will bring. If you're not friends and you don't know these people, you will know them tonight, and you will understand how brave it is and how they have continued to represent all of us tonight. Thank you. And Sue Mickley is not here. She's not here. She's a wife, a mother, and a farmer in Pennsylvania. She couldn't make it. She has a master's degree in public health from Yale University, and she served for many years in the public health field in hospital administration. She has studied the effects of gas drilling on the public health of communities where hydraulic fracturing and gas development have occurred for years. She concludes that the overall net effect on communities is that it brings prosperity and that health problems caused by poverty decline. She loves open space and sees the great potential for open space preservation by gas development. So may we present Silent No More.